going to see a season high in knee injuries, ankle injuries, and lower body injuries this year, because where else can you hit at this point? You can't hit anywhere but at the knees and down. And at this point, NFL, take the pads off, take the helmets away, put flags on them, and just play 7-on-7 football at this point, because that's exactly what you guys want.
As opposed to you being able to tell a kid like, hey, look at that. Look at a good fundamental tackle. Let's watch this game and, really take notes here and what's going on. The pros themselves aren't going to know what
to do.
Nobody knows what to do.
Yeah, buddy. Episode 104 of Cinco Squad. My name is Jonathan Sawyer. With me, my brothers, Grandpa J, TreyDay, and Mike A. Fellas, happy Thursday. It's opening day. It's Sweet 16 basketball. The NBA is winding down. The NHL is winding down. And NFL is still at the top of the news cycle. So, what's going on, fellas? How you doing today?
And
Great.
NCAA Division I Men's Swimming Championships with NCAA records going down like wild cakes in the first night. So it's on this weekend.
Cakes of wild. I'm telling you guys, it's wild.
Those sound delicious.
It's wavy,
Juicy
baby.
cakes. Fat cakes.
Man, now I want cake.
With a moist cake.
Moist towelette. Fellas, it's always great doing the show with you. But, you know what's always great is what's on Mike's mind. So, Mikey, take it away with what's on your mind.
So, speaking of I guess you could say the NCAA championships, we're looking at championships outside of things. And being that I am currently on this health push, this 75 hard challenge that we are currently embarking on, I found a story that kind of goes along with getting healthy and having a lot of success. In 2007, bank worker Steve Way weighed 231 pounds and wore 38-inch waist pants, smoking 20 cigarettes a day. In July 2014, Way represented England in the marathon at the Commonwealth Games, which are the Olympics for all the former British Empire countries. He quit smoking, stopped eating fast food, and started jogging. His goal was to run the 2008 London Marathon in under 3 hours. He did it in 2 hours and 35 minutes. Eventually, all his training started to pay off, and he finished a 2010 marathon in under 2 hours and 20 minutes. He then started training for the 100K, which is roughly 62.14 miles, and decided to run the 2014 London Marathon just kind of on a whim. He ended up finishing 15th with a time of 2 hours, 15 minutes, and 27 seconds. Of the Englishmen in the race, he finished third behind Olympians Chris Thompson and Mo Farah. Being the third fastest Englishman, Way was selected to run the marathon at the Commonwealth Games. He finished 10th out of 27 runners with a time of 2 hours, 15 minutes, and 16 seconds. Oh, and that 100K race he was training for, he ended up winning it in May with a time of 6 hours, 16 minutes, and 19 seconds, 46 minutes faster than the next competitor.
Wow. Damn.
So, yeah, shout out to Steve Way for not only losing that weight, but becoming an exceptional runner.
That's insane.
Yeah, shout out to his
saved
off cigarettes, not buying 20.
So that's why that was my question. Was he still smoking?
No, he quit. Part of that was quitting smoking.
Oh, okay, good. I was about to say, thank God for that guy. Like, good Lord, man.
If he was running those times
while smoking,
yeah,
oh my God.
Imagine if he quit. But yeah, no. He went like clean. He quit smoking. He quit eating.
Good for that man.
Started running. Yeah.
Good for him. Good for him. All right, Grandpa Jay, you were on a hot streak on this past weekend, and people were begging you for your takes. So, what do you got for us in Grandpa Jay's Locks of the Week?
Yes. If you guys took my advice last week and you went ahead and listened to our locks as the weekend went on, you would have made yourself some money. Now, I didn't like Sunday. That's why we didn't post anything. None of the games appealed to me. I actually took an L on Sunday because I forced it. So we don't force it. We research and we tell you what's going to happen in advance. You take the parlay. You're a happy guy or girl. So how about Grandpa Jay make you a happy guy or girl this weekend? We got to go with a Friday night hoopla parlay. So here's what we're going to do. Magic lost to Golden State already this week. And I don't think they're going to lose 2 games at home. I know that Westbrook's back. I know the Clippers look better. Kawhi and Paul George went off earlier this week as well. But give me the Magic at home on the money line. Clippers on the East Coast trip. Those East Coast trips normally don't go that great for the West Coast teams, but the Lakers have something else to say about that. Then let's go to the college arena. Love Marquette to kill the Cinderella dreams of NC State. I think Shaka Smart has his guys playing great. They look like one of the toughest teams to put out right now in the tournament. And I'm a big believer in Tyler Kolek. I think he's one of the best point guards in the nation, if not the best point guard left in the tournament right now. And hate to say this one kind of breaks my heart, but give me Tennessee over Creighton. I was trying to find ways to say Creighton is going to upset Tennessee, but looking into it, Creighton's really given up a lot of points to players who can really score massive points in a variety of ways. And Dalton Connect is one of those players. He has not had a good tournament so far. And what do we know about star players who don't start off well? It doesn't stay that way. He's going to turn things around this weekend. I actually think Tennessee is going all the way in this bracket. So give me Tennessee over Creighton and take the money line in that because this one feels like a 1-possession game. And the points right now are at 2.5. So let's sum this up for you real nice and quick so make it easy. Click, click, click. Magic at home against the Clippers on the money line. Take Marquette over NC State on the money line. And take Tennessee over Creighton on the money line. Put those 3 together. If you want to get a little wild, Purdue's going to blow out Gonzaga, but you could put that on a separate one. Friday night hoopla parlay. Those 3 picks right there win you some moolah. And then come back over the weekend and check us out because we're going to have some more picks for you, baby.
You know what that was, Grandpa Jay? That was your money dance. Hey, you got the CJ Stroud going. So as Grandpa Jay is locking it down for the locks of the week, it seems like professional athletes are locking it down when they shouldn't be. So, guys, it brings up a good topic for us tonight in what should the penalty be for athletes gambling in sports? Because right now there's nothing for baseball. We have Ohtani and his interpreter who is in gambling debt up to north of $25 million. Mm-hmm. And then we have Jonte Porter just getting pretty much suspended for the rest of the year. Mm-hmm. The NFL dealt with so many this year. So what do you guys think the penalty should be for gambling in sports? TreyDay.
So first off, on the Ohtani thing, I knew it as soon as it came out, something sounded shaky about that. Why does your interpreter need access to your bank accounts? That's what your accountant is for. So I knew something was already off of that anyways. But for me, the first time first off, pre-reg, you have to make sure we have concrete evidence because if we go off he said, and we start giving harsh penalties, then there's going to be some issues. So the first time, I'm giving you a year. I think that's what NFL does. But I would give you a year the first time. If we catch you again, then we pretty much got to kick you off for a lifetime at this point. Because now that means you just did not get the point of this. It's too much money on the line. It's too many times we already watched. We saw Gobert the other week where he does the gambling sign and the NBA has to sit there and find it because too many people already think the game's fixed. So once you start doing that, all you're doing is basically proving that fact to people, saying, oh, it really is fixed. No offense to Mike and your wrestling, but the thing about when you watch wrestling, professional wrestling, you sign up and you know, hey, this is a pre-scripted thing. I don't watch baseball, I don't watch football, I don't watch basketball for that. So, yes, maybe it sounds harsh to say those type of penalties, but we have to take you very, very seriously.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at the Ohtani situation, there's a lot of moving parts. The interpreter is supposed to be his friend that he met in 2013 and is a trusted friend. It's like me trusting you guys with, when I go to, let's just say Grandpa Jay, I get recruited to go to St. Lucia, and you're in St. Lucia, and I'm going there to play for, I don't know, you guys got a hockey team for some reason, and you guys put your first hockey team in the Caribbean, and I go there, and I'm trusting you. I don't know what the language is, I don't know what anything, so I'm trusting you with, hey, I want you to be my interpreter, but I also want you to look after my money because I don't know the banks here as well. He's coming to America from Japan, and maybe he doesn't trust as much, so it's very, very iffy, right? Also, Mike made a good point earlier this week to me that his lawyers wouldn't have let him go up to there and do what he did in his interview without them thinking it was false, pretty much. So I get you 100% with the year, but I'm all for, we need to wait until we figure out if they actually did it, right? So if they actually bet on sports, then yeah, in my opinion, first penalty is a year, second is lifetime. Sorry, you're done. Because
now, to clarify, when we say bet on sports, and I didn't say this in my previous thing, we mean bet on your own sport, correct? Like if you're a baseball guy, because I think you should be allowed to bet on sports. I just think you should be allowed to bet on your own.
That's a tricky no, because when you're a professional athlete, you sign a contract to an oath to be a professional athlete for that sport. And I get what you're going to say about that they only play NFL, but that's a slippery slope when they have that app open and they say, oh, well, the Patriots are playing the Jets, and I know they could win me some good money. No, nothing. Not until it's just like
I don't see how you can say nothing.
But not with knowing the stakes are that high.
No, I mean, I'm just saying that it goes to like drugs, it goes to like everything in that aspect.
But you're making an assumption there. You're saying
yes, I am.
They're gonna do crack. Okay, but they can't make that assumption. Then that's correct, because I mean you're gonna go become a crack addict because that's what they told us.
That's not even a fair comparison, though. I mean, realistically,
just because I open the app doesn't mean I have to go bet on my own team. I don't. Okay, that's not. Let me speak. I see you going. I don't watch a lot of hockey. I don't bet on hockey because I don't know hockey like that. So that is, I open the app all the time. I've never once thought, let me go look at horse racing. You can be disciplined. Now, when we talk about athletes, they're disciplined. So I do think the majority of people can be disciplined because as you say that means you shouldn't be able to bet on a golf thing to go on the side because Jordan and them will go out and bet on golf games. That means they should never be able to place a bet because now it's a slippery slope.
Not just bet.
I'm going out with my homeboys and we
huge money.
Start betting. Then I may start betting on gambling the other way. What do we talk about the NBA and the MLB? They have gambling with each other, playing cards in the dugout. So,
but Trey, you see, all that is word of mouth in terms of how much money was exchanged. Because we are gambling, but what's the trace? It's all cash being exchanged, right? Like you don't know what was put down and how much. And like now, because of the apps, it's traceable, right? That's why I don't think to the point these guys are going to risk it that much if it was in your own sport.
You don't think, but they've done it in their own sport.
Yeah, but okay, but
they're dumb enough to do it, and they're the biggest athletes in their sport. Calvin Ridley, the guy from the Colts, Jonte Porter.
That's what I'm saying.
No, stop. Let me speak for a second.
You've been speaking.
Let me speak. Please.
We've been talking.
Let me talk. There
are
33 people. Then stop cutting because I'm gonna keep cutting you off.
Okay, good.
33 people on a team. You name 20 people in the NFL out of the entire league and say, well, plenty of people do it. That is not fair. That is not fair. That is called cash typing.
I mean, that's how rules get enforced in the NFL and in all these leagues is how they basically one ruins it for it all. So one person ruins it, and it's already we already seen this.
Yeah, but we've seen plenty of things. Okay, so people take steroids. People do all types of stuff. That doesn't mean everybody's taking steroids because one person does it. So that means all of us can't take like that's. I just think you're going too broad when you say no sports at all, Gavin.
It's just too risky, in my opinion. It's too risky with I mean, I not trust everyone. No, I'm not saying that everyone's going to do it, but you cannot put that risk out there for people to be able to bet. And you're playing a professional sport, and if it's banned, I think the biggest thing is there is no rules in like a lot of these majority sports. I mean, now I think the majority. I don't think there isn't one. I don't think there is one in baseball. That's my biggest thing. And we have a guy that's banned for life for baseball, right? So, I guess to your point, I'm thinking of it as, look, one ruins it for all, right? Just like the whole steroids thing, right? Some athletes utilize enhancements to help get them better from injuries and stuff like that, and they get hit with you took a performance enhancing, and it's like, no, I took a steroid from my doctor a lot of times, and it gets dinged, and then boom, they're out for 60 games. Regardless, they're out for 60 games because of those said players, Jose
Canseco.
Yeah.
Because now I'm penalizing you for shit that you do outside of that sport. Like, because the truth is, if we're going to sit there, and part of the reason why you don't want people to gamble in all sports because they have inside information. But if, let's say, I got a homeboy, and he played NFL, I could also have inside information. I call my homeboys right now who plays for the Cleveland Browns and be like, hey, and he'd be like, Sean tweaked his knee. This today I'm reporting. Now I got inside information. Anybody can get that inside information. So gambling's already going to be a trickery slope anyway. So that's why they really aren't allowed to gamble. It's because of the inside information. It's not because of you opening an app. But inside information, anybody can be privy to that.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and that's it's basically
any regular Joe could be privy of that.
Yeah, exactly.
You could be privy of that. You know people who play professional sports. You could figure out inside information. I know professional athletes. I can figure out inside information and then go use that on the app. There's always going to be a risk of that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I say. Like, that's why they cut it off for anything, like any sports betting at all, because I think there is a risk no matter what. I'm not just saying for the app. I'm saying for anywhere. You can gamble literally anywhere. Yeah. But like Jamie said, back then they were cash, right? It was all cash exchange and whatnot. I mean, Michael, I don't know what he was doing. He was in casino, so who knows what the fuck he was doing, right? But Mike, let's hear your point on this.
Yeah, so I hear both of your sides to this, and I think you both have good points. Unfortunately, in sports, especially professional sports, it's the saying, one bad apple spoils the bunch. To the steroid point, it did change things because when especially notable players started testing positive for steroids, that's when testing increased for everybody. If you had one good game, supposedly as the players have told it in the past, if you have one good game, you hit 2 home runs in one game, and you could be skinny as a rail, you could be Derek Jeter as a rookie, like skinny, like there's no way you're taking steroids, but they're gonna test you because you showed signs of an above average performance. And so in this case, if they don't want gambling in their sports, on their sports, it may at this point behoove them to cut it off completely and be like the MLB was with steroid testing, in the sense of heavy testing for a period, and now they don't test as much because they've rooted out a lot of the bad apples.
But I think also with the MLB, Mike, for the steroid era, actually kind of rooted for all sports. There's a lot of sports with a lot more testing now.
Yeah.
But I honestly want them to bring back the steroids. Fuck it, if you want to take it, take it. That was the best time. That was the best time in baseball for me. I mean, there was home runs going out like 500 feet. Like, take them. Like, I don't fuck it. If you want to ruin your life, go right ahead. But like, I was having fun with baseball the steroid era. We always say that.
Sure. And well, it helps. It helps. I mean, and the older generation would say, well, you're just biased because that's what you grew up with. But that's a separate point.
100%.
Oh, no, it is. But, I mean, I think we can get into that, especially, like, we've talked about it before, and I'm sure we'll talk about it again. As far as the gambling thing goes, for me, I think you guys are along the right lines. I'm more personally partial to a 3-strike system in this case, where it's first strike, it's a year. Second strike, you're like on a restricted list and you're out indefinitely. And then third is permanent ban.
What's the indefinitely though? It's like the commissioner or the league office has the right to.
That's too much power to the commissioner's hands. See, I don't like that. That's been part of the problem with Goodell and the indefinite suspension. Because he pulls up and says, it's 6 for this, 5 for this. To me, if we're gonna do that type of punishment, it has to be a solid thing. Even if it's a 3-strike and strike 2, it's 3 years, fine. But indefinite gives too much power because then we get to a case that he bet on 100,000. He bet on 8 games. Then people start paying too much semantics.
Yeah, I get you. It's semantics.
Yeah, because like if let's just say, for example, Tom Brady bets on the NFL and it's indefinite for a second one, they maybe go. The NFL, they're going to be like, okay, let's do 3 games for him because without Tom Brady in the league, the ratings go down, right? So that's where it gets a slippery slope. And like, if I'm a star player, I can just get 3 games, cool. Like, I mean, that's where it becomes, up or down. Grandpa Jay.
I hear that.
Grandpa Jay, what you got?
Well, I just want to put it in context to understand like what beast are we dealing with here, right? And this goes across the board in terms of you can't separate the fact that because you're an athlete that you're not connecting with a lot of non-athletes. I think we kind of forget the fact that like maybe we feel because these guys play on a team together, they're always hanging out with each other, but chances are they're not. They're probably hanging out with more people that are not professional athletes. So to put it in context, right? Just 5 years ago, the Supreme Court ruling had just roughly, and this is roughly, not even close to it, 1% of Americans who lived in the states were in legal states where they could bet, right? 1%. Now, 56% of the population resides in jurisdictions that have launched regulated sports books. So they did a poll, and they're saying now that at this point, there's almost 40 million American adults that have placed a traditional sports wager in the last 12 months. 40 million.
That's crazy.
It's a lot. It's 10% of the population. So that means 1 in every 10 people you walk into are going to want to talk to you about a bet. What do people want to talk to pro athletes about? And talk to them about, either that they have, like Dylan said last week in our interview, is like that what did he call it? That fanboy or the fangirl look in their eyes, right? The big hearts in their eyes, like, oh my God, you're amazing. Like, tell me what it's like to be an athlete. On the other hand, a savvy person gonna be like, yo, like, give me a tip. You know what I mean? Like, so it's in their ears a lot. Unfortunately for them, they are connected to their sport too closely. And like Shay said, maybe they're connected to other players too closely. And to John's point, where like it can be insider information, but what would you know? Like, how would you know that? If they have a face-to-face conversation, you can't assume if a baseball player and a football player are out for lunch together and they're being friends, they're talking strategy on how one's going to throw the game and the other's going to throw the game so they can both obviously win. And why would you want to do that to your team? I just feel like the extreme of what Pete Rose did still scares a lot of people today. As if you open up the gates don't open up small, they open up really wide, and all of a sudden you just have a problem across the board. And now we're seeing like 25, 35 players being punished. And it would be horrible for the game. So now what would happen? Now you just have to ban everybody, right? If you have an exponential amount of people getting suspended just like that, you're gonna be like, look, guys, like, you took it too far. We're probably gonna have to just restrict it completely. And then what you should have done from the smart was get your Uncle Roy or your Auntie freaking Tracy to be the account holder. And then they're not going to get freaking pegged.
Right.
Jamie, well, you would think it would be like that easy. Now, I got a question for you guys. Do you think Ohtani should be, if you're not guilty yet, do you think there should be some sort of suspension in your not being guilty yet? Because a lot of times what we've done in the past, they've suspended guys for not even being proven guilty yet.
No, because we can just accuse anybody of anything.
Yeah.
The whole thing in this country is supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. If not, why wouldn't if I was in the NBA right now and we just started doing that, why wouldn't I just be like, Jokic is gambling, let me get the Nuggets the fuck up out of here.
Right, exactly.
Shit. So no, you gotta prove this before we start suspending people. There's plenty of time to penalize.
Not to
don't
mention,
like people want to rush to penalize.
Not to mention, in this particular case, with the information that we currently have to work with, it's sounding like if he is innocent, which it sounds like he is, he's a victim of this too, because that means he got his money stolen.
Yeah, but no matter what, his career's pretty much got a little asterisk next to it now. Regardless of what comes out of this, it's still got a little asterisk, because you're always going to be some people out there that say, hey, he bet on sports. He threw some games. No wonder the Angels sucked. Well, the Angels have a lot of reasons why they suck. But
Well,
Too
much further away than ownership. So.
No, at this point, this story's become so big that the Dodgers could win the World Series this year, and yet somewhere in history it's going to be, but that was the same season that Ohtani probably should have been suspended. They probably shouldn't have won because Ohtani should have been suspended. There's always going to be that camp now.
But Ohtani cashed in on that big ass bet on it. No,
exactly.
Yeah, he bet on himself, and now he's fucking betting.
We always talk about athletes betting on themselves. Now they're literally betting on themselves.
Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas, football fans. As the end of the year is going to be wild with football from college to NFL. We have a bunch of Thursday night games, a couple Monday night games, and then, we have the new college football playoff format, which starts on the 20th and 21st. It's going to be a wild 2 weeks. I know I take the last week of the year off every single year, so I'm excited for a lot of football, but I'm not understanding the Christmas Day game. It was one of the lowest viewed games of the season, and you're still doing this you're making it happen on a Wednesday because Christmas falls on a Wednesday this year. So I don't really understand the whole logic behind it. Let's see how it goes. At the end of the day, the NFL is going to expand to 20 games eventually, and it's going to happen regardless if you like it or not. I do not like it. But at the end of the day, we all love football, and we're going to have nonstop 2 weeks of it from the 19th to the January 1st between college and NFL. So get ready. We have a few Thursday night games. We have a few Monday night games. And of course, we have all the games in between. So get ready, football fans, for your holiday season right now. As I mentioned, the NFL is staying at the top of the news right now, and not for a lot of good things. They're making a lot of rule changes this year to the kickoff, to tackling, and one good news at all for all of us is the tush push is here to stay, everyone, and we're gonna run it every fucking time on the one. Give me it. Tush push. We gotta make a dance or something for that.
No, we don't.
Tush
We don't have
push.
to do anything. No.
Tush push.
No, definitely. You're taking it as far as when the Bears did that shuffle song. I think. That's the bullshit.
Remember, Bears never been worth a damn after that. So
As long as we win a Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
Grandpa Jay, how do you feel about the rule changes this year that are going to be?
There's just one rule that we should be discussing there, and that's the rule that's probably going to freaking ruin the sport for at least the next 2 or 3 years, because defenders are going to be like, what the fuck do we do to tackle?
How the fuck do you tackle now?
Well, I mean, here's the problem with it, right? We have enough judgmental calls already in the NFL.
Yes.
The game flow is already slowed down because the refs have to take time to now really look at it and see if they made the right call because they're under scrutiny all the time. Mm-hmm. So now you're killing the flow of the game even more. And to me, I'm also like kind of questioning, like, are they doing this intentionally? Because all of a sudden this opens up more opportunity for ad space. You have dead times. Remember how those live 20, 30-second commercials are popping up when they're looking at all these replays? And to me, it's almost like, is that what they're doing here? Are they doing shit to kill the flow of the game? So refs need to go to these judgment calls and go to replay more so they can throw up another advertiser here and sell more ad space throughout the games. Because if it is, you guys are despicable. I mean, you make enough revenue already as it is. Stop being so freaking greedy. Don't kill the flow of the game. People who want to get into football aren't going to be able to get into it because they're going to be way too start-stop. You're just going to disconnect to the game, especially if you're not a big fan. And I agree with sports columnist and podcaster Jason Whitlock, because he came out and he said intentionally trying to undermine the watchability of the game is what these owners are doing. Is what the rule makers are doing right now. And, you know, I think it's going to get to a point where we're going to kind of be watching games and just saying to ourselves, like, well, what the hell is a defender supposed to do here? And certain things are going to look like the defender just let the guy go. Because if he didn't, it would have been a 15-yard penalty. That'd be on the 3-yard line anyway, and they're going to score with the tush push. So, and it's going to cost teams games this year, and that's what sucks. Like, what looks like a legal tackle is going to cost the team a 15-yard penalty. They're going to get a first down. They're going to be in field goal range, and they're going to win a freaking game they shouldn't have won. And
it's going to come down to
the piggyback off your ass space thing. The rule, and the one I think is going to affect it, because it's the rule I want to talk about, and we can still talk about the drop tackle, but they're adding in the extra, if you get one of your two replays right, then you automatically get a third. You used to have to get 2 right. Now you only have to be 50%.
There we go. Let's slow the game down even more.
That was, for me, one of the big invigorating things, because I'm already tired of under 2 minutes, everything goes up to the booth. Every time a touchdown happens, we go to the booth. Then we were already getting 2 coaches challenges. Now we're definitely going to have 3, because most times coaches are going to go 50-50. So we keep having stops. And I got to watch the game. And I got to watch the Amazon ad in the corner. Then we got to go commercial. Then they don't even show the replay to us. They cut the commercial. And then we come back, and then the ref's on the field. He's like, yeah, first down this team. So, like, the NFL just keeps on the stop and go thing, which is starting to be really frustrating. The other thing I really hate about the whole stop and go thing is I don't feel as genuinely excited when my team scores a touchdown as I used to. And the reason why, because now I'm basically like, let me wait until the replay happens.
Right.
It used to be like, touchdown, great. I literally do not jump out of my seat on most exciting plays because I'm waiting for a replay now. And we keep adding in more and more replays. And then now they're adding in that rule to add in more replays so we can get more ad space, so we can sell more TV time and commercials.
There is one reason why and I agree with you, Trey. There's one reason why they did this, the drop tackle, because not 24 hours before, the owners came out of their first meeting saying that scoring is down the worst it's been in 5 years. the average scoring in a game is down. Next day, they drop the rule of the hip drop tackle. Now, as I play football, Trey play football. Look, you're asking guys pretty much in full speed, and mind you, these guys are faster, stronger than they have ever been. Running a defensive lineman that's 6'5", 300 pounds, running a 4.40. You're asking them to middle of their tackle be like stiff. Like, how can you possibly... Your momentum is going that way a lot of the times, and it's not doing it on purpose. It's when he grabs onto them, their momentum is going so fast that they're just... You can't... Now you have to just let go, and now the defenders...
From behind is what they're basically getting at.
Correct. You can't do anything...
Behind are going to involve that.
We're going to see a season... I'm going to predict it right now, and I hope it doesn't because I hate to say this, but we're going to see a season high in knee injuries, ankle injuries, and lower body injuries this year because where else can you hit at this point? You can't hit anywhere but at the knees and down, and that's where defenders. And then, of course, you got to risk the Brady call where now you're targeting someone's knee. Well, where else am I supposed to hit? Because if I hit him in the side, you're going to call 15 yards. If I hit him in the chest, you're going to call helmet to helmet. That's 15 yards. You can't hit anyone. And at this point, NFL, take the pads off, take the helmets away, put flags on them, and just play 7-on-7 football at this point because that's exactly what you guys want. You won't ever do it, but at this point, there's nothing a defender can do.
It is, right?
The defender can't do anything right now. And they say, oh, defensive is getting worse. What do you want them to do?
You're taking away all of their skills.
Your guy on Pittsburgh had a few tackles last year that I didn't see anything wrong with him. And he went out and exploded on the media because it's true. What do you want us to do? What do you want them to do? They can't do anything. And you're asking them to stop in the middle of a fast action play and then... What? I mean, I don't know. It's just it's like ridiculous.
But even look at what's the trickle-down effect of this, right? Because whether they change the rules or not at the other levels, you're going to have to learn how to tackle differently as you progress in your career. So the rules are going to have to be obviously shifted from college. It's going to trickle down.
Yeah, right? It has to.
Once it trickles down, then as opposed to you being able to tell a kid like, hey, look at that. Look at a good fundamental tackle. Let's watch this game and, really take notes here and what's going on. The pros themselves aren't going to know what to do.
Or you're going to be like, hey, that's a great tackle, and then a 15-yard penalty comes out. It's like, oh, that was a penalty, coach. It's like... Yeah. But then
I did read an article saying they'll figure it out, and I don't know how fast they're going to figure it out.
No, they won't.
Mike, I have a question for you, Giants fan. Lawrence Taylor, that was, your legend. Lawrence Taylor, what does he do if he's a current NFL player?
Retires.
Lawrence Taylor today couldn't do a goddamn thing. Literally, they've outlawed pretty much every move he ever made and every type of tackle he ever made. Yeah. He would have to retire because it's either retire or be suspended because he's going to have so many penalties.
I think that's why Aaron Donald kind of gave up. He was kind of tired of the bullshit. I mean, he had a 10-year career, but I think he was just kind of like over all the bullshit. And he knew the bullshit coming. Where this man was terrorizing defenses. Yeah. And he's a defensive lineman, so.
He's not dumb. These guys aren't dumb. They understand the situation that they're being put in. And I'm sure. I wonder if this rule keeps up, which I hope it doesn't. I know we're in for a bad year with it. But I hope after this year they revisit it and go, okay, that was a bad move. Mm-hmm. But if so, I wonder if we start seeing defenders have shorter careers just because they get their money. They play as long as they have to get their money and leave. So they don't have to deal with the bullshit.
I mean, yeah, they're already doing that now. I mean, look at Aaron Donald. He's only 31 years old.
Right.
Or 32. Like, he's very young for age. I mean, he's our age.
More defenders you'll have more... And you'll have more quarterbacks playing to the 45 because the game is made to protect them.
Right. It's gonna be a twofold thing. Right. QBs will play longer. Defensive players, especially defensive linemen, will play shorter.
The other thing here is the kickoff. Now they're going to do. Now they're going to go from the 45.
Yeah.
And kick off like a punt. They're not going to. Then the other team's going to line up. Basically, they're going to line up head to head against each other, like the XFL does, and they're going to punt it. And or is it a kickoff? I don't know if it's a kickoff.
It's still a kickoff.
So basically, there's not going to be a kickoff.
They are right. There's a landing zone. This is the one that I stood out to me that I wanted to get into. There's a landing zone where essentially, the two teams are going to be lined up like it's some kind of American Revolution firing line type situation, and then the two returners are going to be 25 yards further back at least, lining up. They're still going to be lining up by the end zone, so they're going to be they have to be at least 25 yards back before in anywhere they can stand, and then the rest of the teams are going to be within 10 yards of each other.
But isn't the ball moved up 10 yards too?
Believe so, yeah.
I know it's some type of incentivized to actually get more returns because it's like more penalties for kicking out of bounds. You can't call a fair catch. Like if it's in play, you have to return it. I guess they're trying to get more returns to actually happen in the game, is what I've read.
So you can't kick it out of bounds. You can't kick it out of the back of the
bounds. It goes to like the 45-yard line.
So you kick it out of the back of the end zone, it goes to the 45. Wow.
I don't think the 45. I think it's like the 35. I think it's like 45.
That's crazy.
But
it's basically a lot of incentives to try to.
Don't they go to the 35 now anyway? Or is it 25?
No, 25.
25. They have a lot of incentives to try to make you not get touchbacks and actually have people return.
The thing is, like with football, and it's the old adage of saying, "Don't fix what's not broken." Nothing was broken. Like I think there's got to be minor tweaks, but why do you keep doing this to the game? Now the kickoff, I understand you want to change that rule because there's been a lot of bad injuries, from high school to junior football to college to NFL. There's been a lot of terrible injuries. I mean, that have been on the kickoff. But why are you trying to change the entire game? I just don't understand it. It's just that look, at the end of the day, this is, and I know CTA is a huge thing, but you sign up to play football. They literally say on the way there, you could get hurt or, killed on there. When I signed that waiver, that's what it said on a piece of paper. And it was blunt. Like, this could happen. And you sign your name to it every single year. Every time you sign that contract, you understand the risk you are putting on when you go on the field.
Yep.
So, I mean, the head-to-head, okay, you want to get rid of that. But, like, all these ticky-tack rules are just ruining the game and not making it fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're tweaking it too much. This is the definition of doing too much.
For the sake of what, though? And that's why, and to me, I think it just goes back to, like I said, is that they want to have more opportunities for the game flow to stop so they can capitalize on it. And that sucks for fans. So one of the stories that's not getting enough attention in the tournament this year is the Houston Cougars playing for so much more than a national championship. Starting the year off with a heavy heart, this team of young men and the coaching and support staff had to say goodbye to their teammate, Reggie Cheney, who passed away late last August. Like many American teens and young adults, Reggie died from an accidental fentanyl overdose at a family friend's apartment. And one of the most underrated qualities of an athlete, people say, or any human, is how they make you feel because they show you what it means to be a great teammate. So perhaps Reggie has been a daily reminder for these Cougars that it's just a game and the point is to enjoy it and play it while you can. But this year's team has certainly enjoyed one of their best seasons in school history, and Reggie has been right there with them as each player wears his number 32 on their team jersey. But for everyone on this team and the Houston staff, it's more than a game this season. It's an opportunity to honor the life and memory of Reggie Cheney and an opportunity to win one for a teammate that would have done anything to be in the Sweet 16 with his teammates and brothers right now. It's also an opportunity to lean on each other for 4 more games to make Reggie and his family proud to watch every man on that roster wear his number and leave their heart on the floor for their fallen brother in the hopes of winning a national championship for number 32, Reggie Cheney. So parents, families, guardians, whoever, please educate your children on the dangers of fentanyl. It's more prevalent than ever before, and we don't need this to keep happening to anyone, especially the youths of this world. Now, I would not be a Houston fan if Kentucky was still in the tournament, but this story touched me. So I'm going to be a Cougars fan for the rest of the tournament. Let's go Houston. Let's beat Duke.
Well, we saw a lot of double-digit seeds in the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. Move on to the round of 32, and that's about as far as they went except NC State. But I guess, we'll just open it up to the floor. I'm going to make a bold statement. In 3 years, the NCAA women's tournament will surpass the NCAA men's tournament in views. What do you guys think? No. We're already getting the storylines at freshman from Iowa State, and she's only a freshman. We got Juju Watkins. We got players coming in that we're starting to get these storylines that people are starting to watch. So what do you guys think?
No.
I think they'll get close to even, but I don't think it'll ever pass it. And I hate to say this, but it's because, let's be real, this country is, and I hate to say this, but on the country, this country ain't going to watch more women's sports than men's sport. I watch the women right now more than the men when it comes to college basketball, but the average consumer is going to look and they're going to say this: the men's games were superior. It's not a right thought. It's a wrong thought, but that is the nature of this country. We have seen this in many cases in this country, and that's just what it is. But I do think it'll get close to even because the thing is their stars will stick around longer, so they'll always be able to sell that point. They have less transfers and more people to stay longer, so they'll always have a point of this year two with this team. They have more time to create rivalries and things like that, so I think it will continue to get closer, but surpass, I don't think it'll ever surpass.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll get even, and if not, it'll get pretty much even. I just see it being that with the NIL money that's coming in college right now, these women are making more money in college than they would ever make in the WNBA. So why leap? Until that money does this, there's no reason for you to go to the WNBA. And that was basically what happened in the NBA. The money just kept getting larger and larger. I mean, players used to come in and it's like, well, they weren't making money back then, but realistically, why would I go to the NBA when I can wait a few years, build my game up and go? But I agree with Trey on that I think it's going to. I just wanted to make a bold statement.
But with the stars they have now, your timeline might be right because they're capitalizing on the Caitlin Clark, phenomena of being the greatest scorer of all time, not just in the women's game. And Juju Watkins might have a chance to do that because if she gets to the finals or the Final Four this year, she might end up with 1,000 points in her freshman year.
That's crazy.
Timing would be right that right when she moves into her senior year, which would be another 3 years, if the hoopla around it is she gets to break Caitlin Clark's record already, I think that draws. You have to have something to draw everybody in, and everybody loves the opportunity to witness the GOAT. Right? I saw the greatest ever play. It's like you want a piece of that. You want to share in that. So if Juju's career does traject that way, no injuries, and she has a chance to break Caitlin Clark's record 3 years from now, and who knows who the next stars are, you know what? That's the only way.
Mike?
Oh, I thought I already shared mine.
No, you didn't.
No,
I didn't actually.
Oh, okay.
We're all like staring at you like, all right. Did he freeze again?
No. So no, I agree. There's too much ingrained in the idea that you watch the men's tournament in the casual fan that I don't think it's ever gonna surpass it. Like I said last week, I think, and we all kind of can agree here that I think the women's game is going to continue to increase. The views are going to continue to increase. There is a lot more behind them from that perspective, but it's a natural instinct to go watch the men's tournament, and so I don't think it's an unfortunate kind of precedent that's just been set that I think it will take at least longer than 3 years, if it ever happens, to get away from that.
Okay, so my question, which I asked you, we have currently, we have 4 teams who have a men's team and a women's team left. Of these 4 schools, and I'll give you 4 schools, what school do you think is most likely to pull off the double whammy? Have men and women both cutting the nets at the end. We have NC State, Gonzaga, UConn, and Duke. Those are the 4 schools. I'll say it again. NC State, Gonzaga, UConn, and Duke. As of right now, their men and women teams are both alive in each tourney going into the Sweet 16.
So who can make it to the Final Four, or who win it all?
Who has the best shot of winning and cutting the nets? Their men and the women's squad.
Did Baylor do it? Or did the men lose the year the women won? I know there was a chance.
The men lost.
I think the men lost that year. Yeah, I was looking into how many times in the past. I think UConn had one somewhere.
UConn did.
Yeah,
yes.
UConn did it in the early 2000s.
But
Yeah,
Who has the best shot of this year doing it? I guess for me, I'll go first. My pick was UConn. UConn is not my pick to win it all, but I would say UConn, even though they're not. It's kind of crazy because growing up, UConn women was like the gold standard, and now it's like, damn, you're betting on UConn women to win this championship. So UConn men, I'm looking at them as defending champs. What else I like at UConn on both sides? You have Gina R.M. and you have Hurley on the other side. So you have two of the better coaches each of the two programs. I run with two coaches with experience. We have championship pedigree. So I like that. What I do also like, if UConn women were somehow to try to figure this out, the UConn women are a 3 seed. They got fortunate with Duke women upsetting Ohio State women, so now they get to play at 7. Now they got fortunate there. They also, by the way their bracket lined up, they got fortunate where LSU and Iowa are going to have to play each other. So now you get to avoid one of the two of those monsters. Then you maybe try to get lucky and beat them. Now, Juju and USC is kind of young, so maybe you can get them. And then the truth is that you probably have to play South Carolina championship, and then you just fucking pray and do all your Hail Marys and pray because Dawn State has those ladies ready to play. UConn men on the other side, we just seen them do it. Simple as that. So I'm not saying it's easy, but Hurley knows how to get them boys up, and they're fucking balling right now. So that would be, to me, my best shot of the two. Mike, who would you have? I know one of mine in here was Duke. Are we going to pick Duke in this?
Come on, no, I never picked Duke. No, it's UConn. Like that's very clear to me. As soon as you said the teams, I was like, oh, it's UConn, because I mean the men look like a powerhouse again this year. To Jamie's point from last week, they look like that back-to-back Florida team where they just got better. And as much as they've been kind of down compared to like other programs, or at least have stayed stagnant on the women's side compared to other programs rising, it's hard for me to doubt the fact that a UConn team led by Gino Auriemma can't win a title at some point. So I think of the four of them, the best chance by far to me is UConn.
Who was the four again? Can you say them again, please?
It was UConn, Duke, Gonzaga, NC State.
I have NC State going to the Final Four because I just think the matchup and their size, and that dude is massive. They got a football lineman for a center. I don't know, man. I want to say UConn because I think they're going to power through the NCAA, the men's side, but I'm going to stick with Iowa State. You said Iowa State, right?
No. I said NC State, Gonzaga, UConn.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go a UConn on that one as well because they're just running right through. They're gonna run through their side. They're getting, like last year, they're getting better and better with each round, and it's scary because Dan Hurley. I mean, they beat a team by 40, and Dan Hurley's in the post game interview saying, "Oh well, what do you think about this win?" And he's like, "It was terrible. Can you believe we gave up 15 extra points in it when we could have defended better?" Like, that's how the mentality. He's got that Bill Belichick type mentality that we did good, we didn't do great. We got to work on X, Y, Z. The little things are going to add up. So, I mean, realistically, I think I see UConn doing it. And then on the women's side, they're getting better and better. I watched them play against Syracuse. They beat us by 6 or 7 or something like that. And they just dominated. They could shoot. They have size in the paint. They're just playing great basketball right now, and I wouldn't want to be a team that run up against Gina. Grandpa Jay.
Paige Bucher had a friggin'
monster game,
right? And it's good to see her back.
32 points or something like that.
She hadn't played in the NCAA tournament for 2 years. Last year she got injured. So UConn is up track. And first of all, congratulations to the UConn women for making 30 Sweet 16s in a row. That's freaking incredible. So, I mean, the standard of that program is win. The men being the favorite, it makes you think, okay, let's go UConn, and that's the obvious choice. And Mikey, I'll never say this about Duke, right? But Duke's actually 1 year away from that. They're bringing in this girl named, I believe her name's Toby Fournier. I don't know if you've seen highlights of her, tall blonde girl, about 6'5", who could dunk the ball like a man. And when she comes in with the class they have coming in with Ashlon Jackson right now, if she stays, to me, Duke's probably going to be a top 2 seed in the tournament, and they may be a year away. And the men look like they're going to have the best recruiting class, like a Zion Williams stupid class coming in. So I think Duke could do the double next year. So if you ask us this question on episode 158 or wherever we're at that point, I might say, yeah, Duke. But I'm sticking with UConn. The men are the favorite. Paige looks like she might be the best player in the, other than Caitlin Clark. I mean, she had a better game than Caitlin Clark. So I'm not even going to say that Caitlin Clark's playing better than her. She's playing the best basketball right now at the right time. So give me UConn.
I was in a tough battle right now. They struggled in their last game against who they play. They played West Virginia. They struggled for 4 quarters. Four quarters.
They were 5 for 24 from outside, and Caitlin was 5 for 9. The rest of the team was 0 for 15.
But I also see. I'm going to call it right here. I think Colorado upsets Iowa. I see it.
They played them close this year. It was a 1-point game. So
all right, take us away with yours.
All right, so mine is we have 2 Big 12 teams left, Houston and Iowa State, and we have 3 ACC teams left, Clemson, UNC, and Duke. More likely to happen, no Big 12 teams in the Final Four or no ACC teams in the Final Four?
No ACC teams in the Final Four. I feel like they're good. I think North Carolina, is impressing me right now. I got to give Mikey credit. They didn't look good down the stretch. They looked very lethargic going into the ACC tournament, which never bodes well for a team going in as a number 1 seed. Duke, I think, is a year away. I don't think if they lean on Jared McCain to hit 10 threes in a game or have the game that he had the other night, he finally stepped up to be the player that they recruited, and I just don't see it consistently enough. And then NC State, I think its glory run is going to end in an Elite Eight against Houston because that Houston team's on a mission. Okay?
I would say no ACC because I just think Houston's just I'm not putting them out. So at this point, Houston is the why I have to say that no ACC because those guys, they're on a mission. They didn't get it done last year, and they look like they're like, no, we have to make up for that bullshit we did last year. And I just, at the end of the day, no, it was bullshit because
it was. That team should have won it last year.
That team should have won last year, and I think they all came in this year like, we will not let that happen again. So Houston, I expect to make to the Final Four, so I'm going to say more likely no ACC teams.
Oh, and it's Calvin Sampson, not Ralph Sampson. So I need to know that, so just so you guys know. It's Calvin. Apparently, the Houston Rockets, Ralph Sampson can't help the Cougars. So, Mike?
Yeah, unfortunately, I have to agree and say no ACC teams. I do think NC State ends up falling short to Houston. I know. Houston and or Iowa State's going to make it one way or another. So
you're not betting on your Tar Heels?
Hold on. Let me get to it. Duke, obviously, is Duke. They'll lose at some point. And the thing is, the problem is, John, you're right, is that the current way they're playing, North Carolina 100% can make it, and I believe they can win a national championship. However, if they even for a moment slip back into that lethargic team they look like going into the ACC tournament, that's what scares me. And I told you that going into the ACC tournament and the NCAA tournament, that if they played the way they did down the stretch when they took those losses, that's what scared me. The opening of the Michigan State game scared me because they weren't. Trayvon Walker was just hitting nothing but threes, and they seem to have no answer. And you've said it before, if they get into a shootout and they fall short, like sometimes they just run out of ability to shoot, which is scary, and they have to lean on Bacon. So I think the more likely of the two, I don't think either's going to happen because I fully believe North Carolina's going to go to the Final Four, at least, if not go and win the national championship. But I think of the more likely of the two, it's no ACC.
Damn, you're going to pick your own boys to make it to the final. I don't give a fuck if Syracuse a 15th seed and they're playing like shit. I'm picking Syracuse over. I'm thinking, like,
and this is why you don't need to start gambling.
Yeah, no, I don't need to start gambling. I'm good. I'd be calling you guys for money all the time. Like, hey, bros, I picked. Why would you pick them? Because they're my team, bro. They're fucking 100-point underdogs.
All right, so more likely to happen is no Big 12 teams, and here's why. Iowa State stacked with the potentially playing Illinois, playing Connecticut, and that's if they get past Illinois. So
it's tough.
Illinois is a scoring machine right now, and at first I thought for sure they were going to get by, but after watching Illinois play, I don't know if Iowa State even gets past this game. And then if you look on Houston's side, it's almost like Houston's surrounded by ACC teams ready to take them out if they get past Duke. NC State's on a magical run, then they have to take on another ACC team that's now believing in the magic, and both of these teams seem to would have a bigger story to play for, right? And then on the bottom side, if Clemson upsets Arizona, then it's UNC or Clemson, because I think UNC does get by in their next game, so they're definitely in the Elite Eight. So now you have two ACC teams playing each other for a chance to get to the Final Four. So I think it's the way the bracket's set up. I think the Big 12 is least likely to get a team in, because the bracket's set up right now for potentially you could have Duke, NC State on one side and Clemson and North Carolina on the other side. So it plays into the ACC better than the Big 12.
You know what team was looking really scary right now is Alabama.
I don't know. Grand Canyon slowed them down a lot. I think
they slowed them down, but Grand Canyon is a great team. So Alabama is just athletic. They move the ball. They're fast paced. They're great. I know, so do I. I wish he came to Syracuse.
They got a lot less shit going on right now at Alabama, so this makes up for last year where they had that super talented team, but all the extracurricular shit in the background going on.
Right. Yeah. Who's left? Mike. Mike.
Okay. So.
Always waiting on Mike. No, I'm joking.
So
Michael.
As we've previously mentioned, the only remaining double-digit seed in the tournament is NC State. So, looking at this year compared to last year in the Cinderella runs, the lack of real Cinderella runs this year. This year's NCAA tournament is less exciting than last year's.
Disagree. Because I think last year was exciting because of the Cinderellas. This year's exciting because the teams that are playing at the level that they're making the games exciting, and it's fun to see these teams start to turn it up. Houston, Clemson starting to play like the Clemson team that was in the top 10. UNC playing great basketball. Duke, finally seeing the Duke team that we should have seen all year. You know, these teams are starting to put it together and at the right time. So I don't think it's more exciting. I think it's about equal right now. I think it's right there because we're getting great matchups. Like last year, if UConn met Houston in the Final Four or in the national championship game, it would have been a better game than FAU game. It was FAU in the national championship.
The FAU game was great. It's the other game that was garbage.
No. I'm saying the national championship game was garbage.
It was San Diego State.
It was San Diego State.
San Diego State. It was terrible. It was terrible. They got blown out, and that's not fun to me to watch a blowout. And I think the best team right now to face potentially UConn, if they don't get upset, is Houston or like you can go right down the line and you can say any of these teams are going to give that side of the, you can go back and forth on each side. Like, okay, Illinois would play Purdue close because they do in the Big Ten. Iowa State would play Tennessee really good. Like, we can go through this. Where last year I thought, oh shit, if UConn gets FAU or San Diego State or anybody on that side, they're going to run right through them, and that's what happened. So I like this year's better because I feel like the Final Four is going to be so competitive. We're going to have like that Butler-Duke game where Butler almost hits the game-winning shot from three-quarters court. TreyDay?
No, I mean, for me, and I already told y'all before, I'm okay with the Cinderella thing, but I only want the Cinderellas but so far because I want the best teams to be able to actually play, not a team gets hot for a week and then goes through. So for me, I was excited to see basically all the higher seeds advance because this is honestly, we kind of already referenced this. This is what we thought last year was going to be. Alabama was supposed to be high rated. They get kicked out early. Purdue gets kicked out early last year. Houston gets kicked out early. The teams that we thought last year was supposed to be going far are all here now. So now we're actually playing out last year's tourney as if nothing actually happened and all these upsets didn't happen. This was for me what I signed up for. That's all cute to go get the FAUs and all that. And don't get me wrong, they did a good job, of actually competing last year. But I want to see the teams with the best players, with the best coaches on the big platform. So right now we're basically guaranteed that we're going to get to the Final Four. And we're going to have a couple 3 or 4 or higher seeds in there based on how it's happening. We're not going to have a couple double digits. We're going to have big name coaches. We're going to have a couple NBA prospects, and that's what I want to see when shit gets real. When we get down to that Final Four, that Elite Eight, the finals. That's what I want to see. Jay, what about you?
I feel like this year has given us everything we could have asked for. We look at it region by region. In the Midwest, you have the 4 teams that have perennially been knocked out in the Sweet 16, and between the 4 of them, they only have 2 Final Four appearances. So one of them has to have that breakthrough. That's Purdue, Gonzaga, Creighton, and Tennessee. Tennessee's never made a Final Four. Gonzaga's the one with the 2. Purdue hasn't been there, and Creighton made an Elite 8 last year, and I think they gave San Diego State everything they could have given them, and they fell short. And then you're looking at the darling of the tournament not being NC State. After watching the ACC tournament, a bit of me was like, well, shit, if Kentucky plays against them, we're going to lose to this team. And we didn't even get the chance to do that, but I think we actually would have lost to this team. They're going up against Marquette, and then we have Duke and Houston, who might be the best matchup we probably could have asked for in the Sweet 16.
Right.
Clemson's playing great. Arizona's playing up to standard. You got Bama and North Carolina. Hopefully that's a barn burner. Illinois, Iowa State's going to be, and then a rematch of the championship game with Connecticut and San Diego State. I mean, everything worked out exactly as they hoped it would, probably with the exception of maybe one in a Kentucky-Duke Elite 8 if Kentucky made it through and Duke made it through. I mean, that would be great for basketball to have the Blue Bloods going against each other. But this is everything I think they would have hoped for in terms of competitiveness, and I'm up for it. I can't wait for this weekend.
Yeah, I do agree with you guys. I know there's probably people out there that would look at it as like, oh, there's no Cinderella, so it's not as exciting. But I agree, like it is exciting for different reasons. Like last year was fun to see all of the programs that you really didn't expect a lot out of step up and play their best games. This year, it's fun to see that the best teams are indeed the best teams, and that they're playing like the best teams and asserting themselves. And it's only going to get better as they play each other and bring their best games. So
I think the biggest teams that made it sparks is that St. Joe's team in 2002 or something around there where they were undefeated. The VCU team that went to the Sweet 16.
You're talking about Jameer Nelson and
yes.
West.
Yeah, where they crushed it, but they ended up losing early in the tournament. But the VCUs, the George Mason, because they were competitive, right? A lot of these teams where it's like, I kind of was like, I see the drop-off. Like, you can see the drop-off where, like, what team was it? Oakland. The only reason why they won that game, I'm sorry to bring this up, Jay, but the only reason why they run this game is because that dude was knocking out of his threes out of his light. He was killing it from 3. I mean, 15 threes
in one game. Come on, bro. That's not killing it. That's freaking psychotic. That's unconsciousness.
And you knew that wasn't going to last, right? It's not like they beat them. Like they shot, 60% from the line? That's just not – you can't win a game like that. So when I look at the NCAA tournament, I see, the big dogs stepping up, and it's like, all right, that was cute. Let me get in here.
yeah.
In the history of the NBA, there's only been 2 players to average 30 points, 2.1 steals, and shoot over 50% from the field. That would be Steph, and that would be Michael Jordan. But guess what? It's happening again. And that would be coming from SHAI GILGEOUS-ALEXANDER, SGA. Yes, I said it. I don't think he's getting enough reps for the MVP. And why can't SHAI win MVP? Did I put him ahead in MVP race? Almost starting to get ridiculous, I would say. SHAI is averaging 31 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. He's shooting 54% from the field. He's constantly getting to the free throw line, shooting 87% from the free throw line. Every night the guy brings it. He very, very rarely misses games. He has more than 50 games this year where he's made over 30 points in the game. That consistency is ridiculous. And I know OKC doesn't come on TV all day. I know a lot of y'all don't watch them outside of League Pass, but y'all should. Shit, maybe you should pay for League Pass so you can watch that guy. He's having a special season, and I'm saying it now. This is no shade to Jokic. Yes, Jokic is the best player in the NBA, but SHAI should be the MVP of the league.
All right, going from the court to the ice, the NHL has instituted 3-on-3 in the overtime over the last few seasons, and just want to get you guys' feel on this because as the resident hockey player that I am, I can give my thoughts here in a little bit. But what do you guys think about it? Would you make any changes, and if you would, what ones would you make? Mike?
Yeah, so I love the way they handle overtime right now because 3-on-3 allows for much more open ice, much more freedom to have all of these players. We've talked in the past on previous topics about how the game in the league is as skilled as it's ever been and the most skilled we've ever seen it as far as overall rosters. And so I love 3-on-3 because it gives them space on the ice to be able to show that, to showcase that. And I think that's good for the sport. It's good for marketing the sport to be able to have that space for your top scorers to be your top scorers. I know people don't like the shootout. I'm partial to the shootout only because I've grown up with it. So I would personally leave it the way it is. I like the way they're doing it right now.
TreyDay.
Yeah, so for me, I'm okay with the 3-on-3. It's a lot better than when they were doing the 4-on-4. Shootouts are cool, and that's all fun, but I don't prefer to end with shootout, but occasionally. So when they were doing the 4-on-4, at least when I looked up, they said about 13% of games were going to shootouts. Now they went to the 3-on-3, only about 8% of games are going to shootouts. So we're actually getting the finishes more on the ice. At the same time, I like still having a close simulation of the actual game, which is what the 3-on-3 gives you, but it gives you a more open floor, as Mike just said. So I actually can appreciate that. I was reading something, I kind of thought it was a good point. So Coach Mike Sullivan, something he was saying was he liked the 3-on-3 partly because it gives you a close simulation of the game. And the issue with the shootout is it's almost like if we were playing baseball with the extra innings and suddenly they said, all right, well, it's the 15th inning. Let's just have a home run derby now. And it's like, wait a minute, this isn't baseball. We just took the team out. It's a team game.
Right.
So we're going to finish this as a team, which is where I would prefer that. The one thing I would change is I would consider going up to 7 minutes, though, just because I think it would give us a little more of a simulation. I don't think it'll kill you over a long season. The ECHL has been doing it for a couple years, and for the most part, it's been good feedback on going up to 7 minutes for the OT. So I probably would do the 3-on-3s, go up to 7 minutes, and that would at least cut down a little more in the shootouts and at least keep us more in the regular form of the game.
Grandpa Jay.
Good points. I like your idea of shifting it to a little bit longer, but in the last couple of games I've seen, I mean, the game-winning goal has come within a minute and a half, and here's why: because the pace is so friggin' frenetic. It's like chaotic hockey, and it's beautiful. I mean, the pace of the game picks up so much from a numbers standpoint here. Just doing some research, it said compared to the NHL average of one rush every 125 seconds, the pace in 3-on-3 and OT is 5 times as fast, where there's a rush every 24 seconds. So blink and you're going to miss the next one. And I do believe it's been, I think it went into, in effect, 2016 was the official year where they put it fully in. So it's been around for a long time. And it seems now with like what we're seeing now, younger players, more skillful players, faster players, and having line changes with more talent on those line changes, that you're able to get high quality hockey even at the end of a game when these guys are exhausted. And the best part is, it's the same thing because, you know me, guys, I'm a big soccer fan. I don't like when games are decided by penalty shootouts. I don't think that truly says who the best team was on that given day. So anything we can do to avoid the shootout, I love it. I hope the NHL does not make any changes to this, maybe other than the fact that you implement a puck that can light up and it's all these colors and all of a sudden it's like disco. Now the lights dim and it's like, yes!
They have a fucking horn in the back of the goal. That's not big enough for you. You want to fucking have the puck be lit up too?
With the going fucking overtime. That's
no, you know what they should. You know what they should do is have the lights go around the post. So when you score, it just. So,
give me the puck with lights.
So I don't like it, and the reason being is because I'm going to take a bit from each of your points. To your point, Trey, about how it's allowing the game to be more competitive, and you're allowing the guys to as a team. To your point, Jay, about how you want these guys to be faster, they're faster, stronger, and whatnot. Those points are great, but because they're faster and stronger, why not just stick with 5-on-5? They have to do it in the playoffs anyways, and there's nothing like playoff hockey when it goes to overtime. We used to sit up watching double overtime in Pittsburgh where they were playing Washington and watching all these double overtime games, and it's exciting. And it doesn't get you ready for the playoffs around that time. The whole thing about the NHL and playing sports is you got to get ready and play in scenarios that you're going to have to in crunch time. What is crunch time in the playoffs when you go to overtime? When you're burnt, and I actually think it works in reverse. You're actually burning these guys out more, especially if the goaltenders are having a stud game. Now, obviously, the time of the game has slowed down because they're only playing, 5 minutes of overtime? So it's going to slow down. I mean, regardless, they're going to go right to overtime or they're going to, it's easier. But these guys are getting more burnt out because they're playing longer lines. The shifts are like 2.5 minutes. So I don't like the fact that they're doing this. And partially because I just like watching more hockey. So for me personally, as a fan and as a player, I think it ruins it because when you change it in the playoffs and it goes to 5-on-5, 20 minutes of hockey, that doesn't get you prepared, right? That doesn't allow you to be prepared for that time of the year. So when I look at overtime, I think it prepares you for, especially in the NFL, like, when we look at the NFL, I mean, they changed all the rules. Like, why not keep it all the same? So that when we get to the point in the Super Bowl, the San Francisco 49ers aren't confused on how the rules work, right? So I don't understand. I just don't get it why we're not emulating what we're doing in the playoffs in the regular season. And I get it's all about money, quickness. That's why we slowed down baseball and stuff. But at least baseball stays consistent in the playoffs.
Well, I
mean, that's why they sped it up. They sped up baseball with the pitch.
But they kept it consistent with the pitch clock and everything that goes on in the regular season goes on in the playoffs. There's no changing of rules.
All for the sake of appealing to the younger fan that needs things.
Correct. But that's what hockey's doing. They want to appeal to the younger fan that is trying to pull them in because it is the lowest sport when it comes to viewership, unfortunately, because I think it's one of the best sports. What were you saying, Trey?
No, I said I do agree with the consistency. I think any sport we would talk about, overtime should pretty much be somewhat of a simulation of the actual season. NFL, it's just tricky because they have ties and then they don't in the playoffs, of course. But, yeah, I that part I agree on. I mean, I disagree with the change because I would say, to your point, as a person who hasn't been a huge hockey fan, I'm actually more likely to turn on. I'm just flipping through and like, oh, shit, it's overtime. I know it's going to be way more fast-paced. That actually draws me in as a non-traditional hockey fan more than the other overtime does. And, I mean, I know that's part of your appeal. It's kind of the old heads versus the younger heads. Same argument in baseball, but that's why I do like it. I think, personally, if regular hockey looked like overtime, I'd probably watch this shit more, to be honest with you.
It's funny. You would watch 3-on-3 hockey, but not 3-on-3 basketball, which is funny.
I watch anything.
3-on-3 is half court.
I watched the Big Three.
Yeah, that's true.
I watched it. Shout out to Ice Cube. He just offered Caitlin Clark a $5 million deal for the Big Three.
I mean, that'd be. I mean, if I was her, I would.
John, guess what? They're coming to Tampa in summertime at Yingling, so you got to come up here if she's in that game. We can go cover that.
Yeah, so pull up. Yep, you definitely need to go see that.
There's no place like home, and Jesse Chavez has found that out firsthand, as after he was released earlier in the week, late last week, by the Chicago White Sox, he finds himself in his 5th stint with the Atlanta Braves and was told that he had made the Braves roster shortly after signing. They'd cleared a roster spot for him. He will be on the Major League team to help contribute to their winning yet again. Like I said, 5th stint for Jesse Chavez, and he was very emotional when speaking with reporters about the outpouring of love that fans have shown him every time he's been an Atlanta Brave, and how they've continued to show excitement and enjoyment in the fact that they signed him again. So I love this story for Jesse Chavez. How can you not be romantic about baseball? So good luck to Jesse Chavez and the Atlanta Braves. I wish you nothing but the best.
All right, fellas, let's get to it. We got Stump the Squad, where we got TreyDay as our leader and Grandpa Jay as a goose egg. The former champion is will he make a comeback this week?
Get on the board, guys.
But let's get to it, boys. It's time for Stump the Squad.
Yeah. Boy, you guys know what time it is. Our favorite time of the show. It's Stump the Squad, and you guys can play along at home. Here's how you play along. You got -2 if you get it wrong, and make sure you play fairly, or give yourself +2 if you get it right. Now, you can't use your phone because we don't. Maybe we do, but you guys won't know if we are. But here's the deal. You guys stump us and let us know and comment on our section and saying, I actually won Stump this week. And that's what I would like to say by the end of this show. So, Mikey Mike, why don't you take it away so I can get +2 to get things started?
Okay. Taking it to the NCAA tournament as we get ready for the Sweet 16 and Elite 8. How many current men's basketball players entered the NCAA tournament this year with 2,000 career points and 1,000 career rebounds? Is it A, 4, B, 5, C, 6, or D, 7?
Well, you know your 37-year-old boy has to be one of them.
Yes. How many players
entered the tournament this year already having 2,000 career points and 1,000 career rebounds?
Could you say the numbers again?
4, 5, 6, 7.
6. But I think it's
John
7 because that's his number.
John said 6. Trey, you said
7.
Trey goes with 7.
5.
Jamie goes with 5. This week I have successfully stumped John and Trey. It is 5.
Wow. You just had to give him 2, didn't you?
I told you I'm back. Y'all talked so much shit last week.
Well, because you were minus 172. Like, about time you got one right.
Hey, it's a week by week scenario, bro.
So go ahead with yours, Shao.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's cool him off. Jamie,
You gonna cool me off? You gonna cool me off? All right then.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right. Put the Denzel scene.
All right, so we know that mostly when a double-digit seed makes the Final Four, it's an 11 seed, and that happens to be NC State's seed this year. Can you guys tell me who was the first ever team to make the Final Four as a double-digit seed? We know they started doing it in '79, where it became an expanded tournament with double-digit seeds. So who was the first team to do it? Was it LSU, George Mason, Syracuse, or VCU?
I think it was Syracuse. Syracuse.
So I'll give you the 4 again. LSU, George Mason, Syracuse, or VCU.
I'm gonna go LSU.
My first go to Syracuse. I'm gonna go
LSU.
Syracuse. My
Yeah,
first
Cuse
go
and
to
LSU.
Syracuse, so I'm gonna stay with Syracuse.
You gonna stick with Cuse?
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I have successfully stumped John and Trey. The correct answer is LSU, who did it in 1986, and it didn't happen again till 20 years later when George Mason did it in 2006.
Oh, that's right. I think Syracuse was like a 9 seed that year.
Syracuse was 2016, VCU was 2011, Loyola Chicago was 2018, UCLA was 2021, who made it from the play-in tournament.
I was thinking of a different year. That's why.
And I think, who was it? 2022. Who was it? It was St. Peter's and somebody who had Miami. Miami made it in 2022. And who was it last year? Wasn't there a 10 seed last year?
FAU, I think.
FAU was a 9.
They were 9. No, they were the lowest at 9. Nobody did it last year.
Yeah.
Farley Dickinson it was a 16 at 1. All right, who you want next?
You.
All right. So, we're going to opening day. Which team has sold out the most opening day games? Was it the Baltimore Orioles, the Cleveland Guardians, the Kansas City Royals, or the Toronto Blue Jays?
Cleveland Indians.
Right.
Yeah, City. The Guardians
Mike?
only had the opening days.
I'll take the Jays.
Mike?
I'll take the Jays too. Ain't shit happening in the 6, and it's warm, and people want to be outside. And give me the 6.
Well, I'm not going to give you the 6 because today I've successfully stumped Mike and Jamie. It is the Cleveland Indians / Guardians with 31 years straight.
Ain't shit to do in Cleveland
I
either,
actually
right?
knew that for a fact. There's a very proud fact around Cleveland, actually.
They sold out, and here's a fun fact: they sold out in 2013 in 6 minutes.
Mike, what a homer question that was for TreyDay, wasn't it? Come on now.
Wasn't it?
So
You guys in cahoots here? You guys like in cahoots trying to keep me and Mike from winning Stump or something?
pretty much, yeah. So the scores are, if Mike believes me, Grandpa J 0, Mike 0, me -4, and TreyDay -4. So TreyDay, take us away.
You just got it right. He'd be a -2, wouldn't he?
-2. I'm sorry. -2. -2.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, so
Now I'm gonna call you out
NCAA
next week.
tournament time. What is the least amount of points scored by a single team in an NCAA tournament game?
It has to be
20,
Virginia.
26,
How about in the history of the
32,
tournament?
or 43?
Go again.
20, 26, 32, or 43?
32.
43.
26
26. For
by
Jay.
a number 16.
32. Somebody said 32. Which
26 by a 16.
Mike said 32, and John said 26.
43.
I said 26.
43. Either way, today I successfully stumped the squad. The correct answer is 20 points.
Wow.
Jesus.
What a game. UNC did it. 1941.
Damn.
So now it's a 3-way tiebreak.
Yeah, I'll get it. It's not with me. I'll tell you that for a fact. All right, so now we have a tie, and it's not with me, so I can't lose. So here is my question. The shortest opening day game was played in 2022 and was between the Cleveland Guardians and the Kansas City Royals. How long did it last?
Hour 47.
Mike says hour.
This is so funny because my time was. I know I promised you, and I'm going to say what I was going to say. Hour 48 was my guess.
Price is writing me.
Hour 48. I was not Price is writing. That's why I laughed. You said it. I swear I was not.
Jamie.
Dave, what you got?
2:02. 2 hours, 2 minutes.
So you sandwiched me, so.
Well, today I have today's Stump the Squad winner is Grandpa Jay with his first one. The answer is 2 hours and 49 minutes. So Grandpa Jay is on the board with 1 win. Yeah. So the scoreboard reads TreyDay with 2, Mike with 1, John with 1, and Grandpa Jay with 1. So he's making his comeback today, fellas. He's making his comeback. Well, fellas, it was a great show. We had a lot of great topics. We got opening day starting today. We got NHL playoffs and NBA playoffs down the road. And, of course, we got the Sweet 16. So I know Mike will be sweating it out as his North Carolina Tar Heels will be playing today. So any final thoughts heading into the weekend?
Yeah, let's go
Heels.
swimming. Men's championships. Big time swimming going on. Tons of Olympians in the pool. It's going to be crazy.
We'll see you guys here next week for episode 105. Make sure you guys tune into our socials at Cinco Squad Pod 05. Mike, myself, Grandpa Jay, and TreyDay will be on Twitter, on Instagram throughout the NCAA tournament. So make sure you engage with us. And if you take Grandpa Jay's locks, make sure you let us know. We'll see you guys here next week for episode 105. See you guys later. Wow.